People that are just like too familiar too quickly and they're too obsessed with you too quickly. I feel like I was obsessed with you too quickly.
You kept your cool though. I couldn't feel it.
Hi guys. Welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Eat.
It's just us.
Oh, my favorite.
Well, and Azul. He's being
so sweet today.
Oh my God.
And he smells nice today.
Well,
he never smells bad, but he smells extra nice and shiny today.
Well, I mean, it's been a journey.
like the merch.
Well, when Azul showed up, he smelled bad. And then they had to power wash him. And then he still kind of didn't smell great because his health wasn't really great. So now he's on like amazing food. He's on fish oil. Like his coat looks amazing. I told you that one time those two drag queens stopped me in the street and they go, "Nice coat." And I was like, "Excuse me?" They were like, "Your dog."
Azul and I are both thriving. I'm working out again. Azul and I are both like getting into our like breakup bodies.
Oh, my Azul's body has always been banging.
So
well, he was a little, actually, no, he was a little skinny when he showed up and he's just filled out. I mean, he's perfection.
Azul and I have revenge bodies coming in hot. My winter bod is a revenge bod. Okay, big day today.
Yes.
Live show tickets are on sale today.
Oh my God, it's happening.
We are so excited. So we will be in DC, San Diego, LA, San Francisco, Portland, Vancouver, and Seattle.
Nailed it.
Doing it. We are so excited. We have just been like dying to release these. If you guys previously had tickets, everywhere besides San Francisco, they will be honored. So what is that? Portland, Seattle, Vancouver. Yes. They will be honored. You guys, if you can't come for whatever reason on the new date, if you need a refund, you have 30 days from today, Monday, today, to get a refund from the venue. Just call them. Ashley and I do not handle this at all. We handle no ticketing. Contact your point of purchase. They should be able to refund you.
Yes, and I don't know that we've said this before. Maybe we've just glossed over it. If you got tickets from a resale site, we don't know all their policies and there's nothing we can do. So if you're like, I contacted where I got the tickets and it's like, well, was it Ticketmaster or was it some like resaletickets.net? Like, I don't know. So, you know, there's just nothing. We truly have nothing to do. You got to get in touch with them because we don't know their policies. They may be like, yeah, we don't do that. I don't know. So there's just a million different sites out there. So if it's not one of the ones that was directly linked to from our website, we can't be responsible is what I'm saying. You know? So
just be careful where you guys are getting it from. Make sure it's a verified seller. You guys message us sometimes and say, is there a wait list? It's sold out. Can I get tickets? Yeah. If it's sold out, you can get tickets from resale sites, but we don't, we can't guarantee they're verified. So just be careful.
They're mostly legit. It's just like COVID got crazy. You know, like all these people were trying to get refunds and these sites were like, what? Or they weren't telling people when shows were rescheduled. I don't know. So I'm not saying it's like a bad thing to do. I've done it before. I've gotten tickets off resale sites, but you got to just be cautious.
Yeah, be careful in these streets, guys.
Yeah.
So you can get tickets at girlsgottepodcast.com under our ticketing website link. So check that out. A couple things. We are working on coming to Toronto. We're working on Pittsburgh. Girls, I love you. We're working on it. And we just wanted to say Sacramento, we know we have like a really amazing listenership there. We are not going to be able to get there anytime soon. So if you want to come to a show, drive to San Francisco, we would love to have you there.
Yes, I would love to go there. It's just we're doing the best we can and we couldn't squeeze it in this tour. But I mean, we'd look to make sure it was feasible to come to somewhere that we are coming because we know you guys want us to come there. And that's going to be that San Fran show. It's going to be wild. The Masonic.
Sexy.
It is so sexy, that venue. I was like, what is this bowl?
It's very, very hot. It's hot shit.
Yeah. So come there.
Yes. So we can't wait to see you. We're really, really excited. We have great things happening in the new year. Big things happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then also while you guys are on the website, merchandise, we'll be releasing new merch next week. We will hold back some styles, but it's never too soon to buy stuff like we said last week. So girlsgottepodcast.shop. Check out all the merch with the cool stuff.
Yeah. And we had such a good time with you guys in Boston. 3 sold out shows at the Wilbur holiday weekend. I guess it really was a holiday weekend.
Holiday weekend.
Confirmed. So many people dressed up. I was just blown away by the costumes. People dressed up like Azul. Stool Dewy Daily
Lisa.
Harvest smoothies. 2 girls were mint and cacao smoothies. I was just so like, they dressed up like our partners. Like I saw girls with HelloFresh cards. Like it was just really special. They had people at signs and they did stuff from the podcast on top of like other really funny costumes. There was like Guy Fieri. There was girls with red flags. There was the orange iguanas from Legends of the Hidden Temple. Such a deep cut. So thank you guys for dressing up. Thank you for coming regardless. But we brought people up on stage that were in costumes, and every show was like wild in its own way. They were all different. We had people come to multiple shows and just have been touching base on stuff that happened after the show, of course. So we just had a great time. And we wanted to thank the dancers that we had open the shows, all 3 shows. They are so incredible. It was a collab between 2 dance studios in Boston. One is called Bar Groove, and that is where you can like do trampoline, dance, cardio. This woman named Alana runs that. She's incredible. And then Momentum Dance Company, Momentum Dance Boston, and then Momentum Dance Massachusetts, I believe. And a friend of the show who has opened the Boston show as a dancer before. Her name's Danae. She's so great. And she put this all together. I mean, with the collaborating with Bar Groove, but they just put this insane performance together. It was so hype. I mean, I did like work on the music. I have a vision always, but they killed it. It was so great. They looked great. They got the crowd going. And so you guys can always take classes there in Boston, Bar Groove and Momentum. I mean, I just think I love like recommending where people can go like dance, because I think it's like one of the things that makes you feel good and happy and like can change your life. Like getting into dance, even like later in life.
It's hard. It was always hard for me to find like exercise that I like. So dancing was great. But to echo what you said, the shows were so special. We always love a Boston audience. And thank you to everybody who just like comes to the shows and just like has a positive attitude and wants to just have like a great girls' night, or brings your boyfriend or your husband or whoever. Thank you to Dale Moss and Mike Johnson, who made a special appearance on the big screen. Yes. It was just really so special, and we love being with you guys. So thank you for making it such a wonderful holiday weekend.
It was a holiday weekend. We stayed at the W right across the street. Can't recommend that hotel enough. Just want to shout out best hotel fitness center I've ever seen. I walked in, I was like, what? I would join this gym. 2 Peloton energy is elite. The Bellyard in Atlanta has 2 Pelotons, by the way, too. They had a fridge of cold towels. There are very few classes I've ever been to where they hand you a cold towel afterwards. There is nothing like it. It's unbelievable. They had a water machine with infused water. I had a cucumber mint water, big TVs everywhere. I watched the Clemson game on the Peloton while I sipped my cucumber mint water and ended it with a cold towel. Are you serious?
You guys, the most like, are you Rayna's friend or you Ashley's friends when we check into hotels? So the first thing I ask is, do you guys have room service? And the first thing Ashley asks is there a Peloton in the gym? It is the first words out of both of our mouths, because you ordered room service and you're like, this is my first time ordering room service since COVID. And I was like, bitch, every time we check into a hotel, it's the first words out of my mouth.
Everybody right now is more Rayna's friend. Not a lot of people work out when they're vacationing, but this isn't a vacation. It's a work trip. So I have to get my mind right. You are so right. At the desk, you say, is there room service? I go, is there a Peloton?
100. I hand them my driver's license and I say, do you guys do room service? It's the first thing out of my mouth at every hotel.
I mean, also you posted this poll. I was like, I'm not looking at these results. I don't need to see this. But you posted like, are you more?
You did. So we were having the best day of our lives. Saturday in Boston was the best day of our lives. I ordered 2 entrees. You ordered an entree and a side dish, and
a bagel, Rayna.
Okay, fine.
Don't shame me for not eating carbs.
I ordered an omelet. It was egg white with toast and potatoes, and I ordered an avocado toast, and I watched Harry Potter in bed from like noon till 5 p.m. And you ordered yogurt and fruit and allegedly a bagel, and you watched the Twilight series. And it's the funniest, like, are you more Rayna's friend or Ashley's friend? And you got votes.
Sorry, I'm a skinny legend.
You got 25% of the vote. Somebody asked me if there was a scenario in which they could do carbs and Twilight, and I was like, I don't know that life either.
Well, I was figuring that. I figured the only reason I was getting votes is because I was watching Twilight, not because I was eating.
Not because of your yogurt.
Bed.
Yeah.
Listen, I gotta keep my body in check. Like, people are like, how do you stay fit or whatever? I'm like, I order fucking fruit and go use the Peloton. You really want to know? No, I splurge here and there. I mean, that night I ate my face off, but I mean, I got to keep it tight on the road because you know me, I'll get like in my feels.
Ashley can't have a pasta the night before.
Shut up.
She refused to go to Carbone for dinner the night before show.
I can't have dairy in the morning.
You and I think, are very similar in terms of how we eat, though. Like, I think you and I both eat very healthy day to day. We both like to cook for ourselves. And like, when we're on vacation, we splurge. Like, I don't think you and I are like, I can't do it. I'm not going to eat this pizza. Like, I think you and I have very similar mentalities in terms of like how we eat.
Well, also, like, we went to Contessa that night, and I knew Contessa's this amazing restaurant, Major Food Group, which is the Carbone food group. We went there that night, had an incredible experience, and I knew we were going to go hard. So I like to show up ready to go. Like, I like to show up hungry. I want to eat a bunch of carbs during the day and then show up and be like, I'm not really that hungry. I want to go in empty stomach, Peloton, like ready to eat the house down.
And we did. We ate the whole house down. That was fun. Even the people that worked there were like, wow, you guys ate a lot. I'm like, but you gave this to us. No one tried to talk us off this ledge.
Well, remember at Carbone, like Melanie's boyfriend was like, wow, he's
my favorite person to go out to eat with.
He said something when I finished all those meatballs.
He said you call you brave.
It wasn't brave. It's something like that though. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I can eat a lot, but listen, sometimes you just got to order fruit and lay in bed.
Sometimes you do, but I've been working out a lot. So now I can eat whatever I want. And honestly, I always feel good about it, whether I work out or not. I eat whatever I want. But I worked out 6 days last week and 3 days this week. And I just find that I feel like mentally a little bit better. I talked about this when I work out, hot take. So I was obviously feeling a little, whatever. Everybody like goes through waves after a breakup. And some days I was feeling like better than others. And it just always feels good to just like work out and get it out. I never get off the bike and like just don't feel better. So somebody asked me, people ask me this all the time, do you have Peloton? I don't have a Peloton. I have a Nordic Track.
She has a Peloton.
I have a Nordic Track, which I'm obsessed with. You can take iFit. Our friend Izzy is a teacher there. And then I stream everything from my television. So you can I stream Peloton.
You can get iFit on the Nordic Track on the screen?
iFit is Nordic Track. So I have a big screen on my Nordic Track.
You can take Izzy's classes on the screen.
I can take it on the screen. I love my Nordic Track.
That's great. I would love to take her and Bobby Westside. Like, I love their classes, and it's tough to do. If I want to take one of their classes on the Peloton, I have to just do like a scenic ride and have it like on my phone.
Yep. So if you guys are really wondering, the Nordic Track was cheaper than the Peloton. I like it a lot. It is a great fan that comes out of it. And I can take any classes streamed from my television. So that's what I do, and I enjoy it.
I'm still Team Peloton, but not like they pay me. So whatever.
Not like they promoted our episode.
Yeah. So I know I was thinking about that today at yoga. I was like, this is what like makes my body feel good. You like a hot yoga, your muscles get warm and you just like stretch them out. I'm like, that's a secret to me. I used to have some back issues. I was like, spent 6 months in like a chiropractic program because I just couldn't get my back figured out. And like once I started getting into yoga and specifically hot yoga, I never had back problems again.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah. Right. I want to like everybody that you body pain, you have like restless leg syndrome, stuff like that. I just feel like it's like can't hurt. I don't know. This is like a fitness episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, I also do I do like 3 or 5 pound weights when I work out too. And it's just like, I'll just do a few reps, put it down, and get back out there.
Yeah. I did tell you a funny thing from Boston. Okay. So, and that kind of leads me into something else I want to talk about today, dating app wise. So I usually set my app to my Hinge to the city where we're going to be, just to kind of scope it out, especially just to like know what we're dealing with in that city, to talk about at the show, if anything crazy happens, whatever. And I've recently changed one of my prompts to say my most irrational fear. And I said my most irrational fear is ending up at Rikers. So
talks about it all the time.
So I know a lot about Rikers.
She talks about it constantly.
It needs to close. It's like an abomination. It's really bad. It's a really scary place. There's documentaries on it, and there's a daily episode, the New York Times podcast from a couple weeks ago on just how bad it's getting and how COVID is worse in the situation and how like the mayor said he was going to close it. And so then they really didn't do anything to improve it. Right. And then still not close. And that was like 8 years ago, whatever. It's really, really bad. And I'm terrified of ending up there. And I know I'm not a criminal, but like I've been to jail a couple times. So it's this, it's this fear.
Not prison.
It's not prison. It's a jail. That's what I'm saying. Rikers is where people are awaiting trial.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not a prison, but it's where people go in the interim.
Every time you say this, it scares me because I'm if you go to jail, I'm going to jail.
It's not some like prison. So I could technically, something could happen. And
like what? What are you going to do? Because anything that you're doing, I'm doing.
That's not true. You've never even been to jail. I've been to jail multiple times. So that's why it's an irrational fear. Hear me? That's the prompt. My most irrational fear is ending up at Rikers. Okay. So anyway, a little known fact about me, I am weirdly invested in Rikers. And I know a lot. You know, when I first started be interested in like a scared way was The Night Of, which that show was just
amazing.
Still one season. We never got another one.
Well, because COVID happened and then that was it.
It was years ago.
You know, I'm like realizing
my old apartment.
Do you know how many shows I'm realizing? Like, I don't remember what happened because it was 2 years. I had to rewatch the season finales of Insecure
yeah,
and
same.
Succession.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of articles about that too that say like, you guys haven't seen this in 2 years. So here's a
Which
recap.
is kind of nice to go back. You get an extra episode. I watched the it's like Insecure. I did the same thing, and I was kind of like, oh, I got another half hour of television viewing. But The Night Of was an HBO show that I can't recommend enough, and that was when I first was like, what is this terrifying place, right? So, but when I changed my Hinge to Boston. Like, people were like, why would you be scared of that? This guy goes, how would you end up there? Like, it's in New York. Like, this guy goes, how would that ever happen? And then this other guy goes, what are you doing that you're scared of ending up there? Like, it's so funny because they're like, you live 5 hours from that jail. Why would you ever end up there? It was just a very funny thing that guys would be like, what is this bitch doing that she's scared of ending up in jail in New York?
Same answer I have. I'm like, what is this bitch doing? And people in Boston are like, you have to go all the way there? That is so funny.
It was just funny. They like outed me from my thing. But while we were talking about Hinge, I did want to say something that I've gotten tagged in hundreds of times, is that Hinge now has these voice prompts. So you can record your voice. Listen, I'm not out here trying to promo Hinge all the time. You know, we did a whole episode with them and they never even said thank you. It's fine. They don't really promo us. So it's like, I didn't want to be like, oh my God, it's the best app ever. Of course I use it and I like it. But I do feel like we need to address it because they probably got the idea from us.
I feel like a lot of people
never
steal our
heard anybody
ideas.
talking about voice catfishing till me. I'm a pioneer.
Voice cat. No, I've never heard of it before.
I swear somebody
they
had
did.
heard that episode and they were like, we should do voice prompts. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I think we came up with it and obviously no. I do like that because it took me years of dating on the apps to realize that that happens and like, how can you avoid that? And you don't really want somebody to call you on the phone necessarily. Some people do. And I think a pre-phone call is fine, but like you kind of just want to hear somebody's voice. You want to hear the tone of their voice, the cadence, like how they talk, how they sound. And I love that they're doing this. I don't know how many people are doing it. It seems like something I could picture a lot of guys just not doing unless they knew they had a sexy voice.
That's true. If
You know what I mean?
Voice,
like an average guy, and especially if you know your voice isn't great, you're not doing it. You know what I think would be very funny if a guy did like a funny, he was sang or said something funny, like an impersonation. He said some line from The Office or something. I think it'd be like funny.
Okay. No, I like that. I mean, it's just like a good way to hear like tone and cadence, right?
Yeah, I love it. No one else, no other app's doing this that I'm aware of. So so many people sent that to me, and I hope more people will like get into it. And I think if you have like a sense of humor, you can make it really funny.
How long can it be?
I don't know. Let's see if we can
Like,
hear
can
it.
you do like a set on it? Like,
Oh my
can you
God.
tell a joke.
You know, I'm going to go in there and just be like, I'm off the deep.
Right, like, can you sing a song?
You can sing a song for sure.
Okay. I'm curious how long this is.
I haven't seen one yet. I feel like they're kind of a rarity.
I feel like a guy that I'd be
Who's
really
that
into would
guy?
be like, holy
That
shit.
guy looks like Brad from Sex Life, bisexual. Okay, from Dallas.
I don't even care. I'll watch you suck a dick. That guy is so hot.
That guy is so hot.
I feel like I would want it to be like 5 minutes and I would want to hear you tell like a whole joke set.
I wonder. Look. Let me do 30 seconds. Okay.
Oh, that's it? Okay. 30 seconds. I could do a good impersonation. I could tell a joke in 30 seconds.
You don't want to be too try hard. Not you. I'm just in general.
Right. So I think that if it was 5 minutes, people would be here like popping off their whole life story.
I am going to go ahead and assume that a lot of people feel weird about doing this. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people would clam up. They wouldn't know what to say. You want to kind of be funny and cute, but you don't want to be try hard. Like, well, I don't know what the perfect thing is. Like it's a 30-second voice recording. Like what would it be? You don't want to sound too sexy. Like that guy that sent me that voice memo of like, hey girl, I would love to get to know you. Like what is the perfect thing to do here?
I feel like 90% of people will tell you that they hate the sound of their own voice. Like when we started the podcast,
That's a good call.
like I think that the only people using that feature are people who everyone tells them they have a
good
great voice. Because like, listen, I don't have a problem with my voice. I think it's fine. But like, it took me a while to like acclimate to my own voice when we started the podcast. Like, I don't think a lot of people are like, I love my own voice.
Yeah, I do like mine. But literally not until someone told me. Like I used to do this TV segment in Atlanta and I didn't like to watch it back and hear my voice. But the first time I did this, I was on the Burt Show in Atlanta. I did some like relationship panel so many years ago and someone was like, you have a good radio voice. And I was like, what? And I feel like it was like that Nikki Glaser bit where one man tells you you're good at something. Like one man
Like
told her she was
sucking
good at comedy. Good
Like
at comedy.
good at comedy.
And she was like, I'll do that forever. Like, I felt like it was like some radio exec was like, you have a good voice. And I was like, really? I'll start a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it like clicked of people being like, you sounded good this morning on the radio. Like a lot of people were saying it. And I was like, really? Like someone has to tell you.
Yeah, one guy told me I was good at sucking dick, and I made it my mission for life. Listen, hot tip, every guy tells you that you're the best blowjob they've ever gotten, okay? In my case, they meant it. But yeah, at 23, someone probably was like, that's the best blowjob you ever gotten. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Forever.
I suck dick now.
I
That's
like
so
my
funny.
voice like normal talking, lower. Sometimes it gets really high during like a stand-up clip, and I'm like, yikes.
What are the things
Like
I like to hear you
jarring.
say? I like to hear you do the calm recordings. There's something else I really like. Oh, tushy. I like to hear you do the tushy and sprays your back clean with flesh bulb.
I just can get loud, and I'm like, Ashley, take it down a notch. Like I have this clip on my Instagram right now where I yell the word anal, and it is like back in the day.
Anal. Yeah, I can
really
hear you do it.
jarring. Yes, it's awful. Someone said they were watching it, and it gets so loud. Someone was in the City MD getting a COVID test, and the whole waiting room just heard anal.
People may not like my new like this guy I used to date the other day told me that my lisp was sexy. He was like, I think it's like I like your I used to have a whole like thing of soup Instagram stories where I would like talk about soup, which is very and he loved to watch me. He's like, I just like love your lisp. I think it's like so sexy and like soft. And some
It's not
people,
a real lisp.
People would
It's
say
like a softer,
it's a softer one, but some people would like really not like that.
Okay, I have more stuff to talk about. Really quick. Everybody wants an update on the guy from months ago at this point who goes to me after the date.
I don't care about talking about anything besides
Okay,
this.
hear me out. Remember the show that I met him at? Natalie Cuomo show?
Yeah.
I'm doing it again this month, so I'm returning to the scene of the crime. So
I have a question.
If there's any time there could be a reunion, I'm sure he's steering clear, but I'm just saying like it's funny that I'm going back to the
Are you on the
room where it
lineup? Are
happened.
you on the lineup on the website?
Yeah, I will
Okay.
be. Yeah.
Okay, so he probably won't
Everybody's
come.
going to come to this show.
We should tell them not to put you on the lineup.
That's a good call. Don't.
Just like bait him into coming. And then you're like a surprise person on the lineup.
That would be so funny. I can't see him coming back to the scene of the crime, but like, what if he showed up and I wasn't on the lineup and I just saw him and I was like, surprise, bitch.
I'm going to come to the show. All I think about is this guy. It's all I care about. I have nothing going on in my life. I have to know who he is.
But anyway, yeah, so I will be in the room where it happened. People come up to me at the stand and they're like, is there any update? And I'm like, it happened right there. I feel like they're on like a tour. They're like,
It's like a prison cell.
museum.
It's like this was Nelson Mandela's prison
This is
cell.
my cell at Rikers, where I wrote my first memoir.
Is there any, I guess there isn't. There's no video of him. Like you can't see him in the
there's
video
no
at all.
We barely got the video like that we have, which thank God. Shout out to Pat for doing that. Okay, I have something I wanted to chat with you about. Listen, you said you had nothing for this intro, and I was like, don't worry.
I haven't had anything for the intros in weeks.
Good. Okay. Something happened to me that has never really happened to me before.
Okay.
I already kind of told you, but I wanted to chat with you about this on air.
Okay.
I saw a photo of a guy I used to date on Instagram and was like, wow, wildly turned on, wanted to reach out. So the point I'm trying to make is that's never really happened to me before. I think there's a lot of reasons why. I think a lot of guys I date glow down afterwards, or I just think they're awful and could never be turned on by them again. This thing with this guy ended fine. We had great sex. So like, we're still cool.
Okay.
I also think guys don't post a lot of like, I don't date guys who are like influencers. They're not posting like model shots, right? A lot of guys I have dated don't have a social media presence, or they just post like silly, funny stuff, or very rarely are they posting some hot photo of themselves. This was just kind of the perfect storm of the right type of person, the right type of photo. And I have never had that happen before. And it got me thinking that happens to guys all the time.
Because I mean, you look at my Instagram right now, it's thirst trap city. It's like me with like my legs out and wearing short things. And like, I mean, I'm just feeling myself. It's not for any other reason than because like, I feel like I'm working out a lot and I'm proud of it. But I think women are just more inclined to do that. And men aren't like, what's really like thirsty, sexy shot I could do, unless they're like influencers, which I'm not attracted to.
That's why I'm saying this never happened before. So it got me thinking of like, oh my God, this happens to guys all the time. So one of the very first times we really fully this clicked, because I didn't used to really post a lot of thirst traps. Probably in the only recent years I do more. I'm all about it. But like this guy had kind of like confessed his love for me, and we were chatting about with Jared Freed, and it clicked that the day he'd sent that was this day I posted a bikini photo. I rarely post a bikini photo, and I had posted one, and we were like, it was the photo. And then I always, from that moment, when something would happen with a guy where he would kind of reach out, I would realize it was what I posted on Instagram. And again, it's called a thirst trap for a reason. Aren't you trying to trap him in the first place? But like, I always am so aware of it, and it usually does kind of like work like clockwork. If there's like a guy kind of in your orbit, or he's like a pseudo ex, or you guys kind of stay in touch and you post that photo, they come back in, you trap them.
Men are so easy.
But I had never felt that before.
Okay, but did you text him? I don't think I know this.
I DM'd him like
Listen, I saw this photo. Okay, listen, sometimes I forget to check in on Ashley's exes. Like I just like, we were busy for a couple days and I forgot to stalk all of your exes. We're talking about friendship day. That's how you know you're a true friend. You're stalking their exes.
We both stalk each other. I mean, you have less to stalk than I do, but stalking my exes are one of your, probably your main hobbies.
I stalk your exes more than mine. One of my main exes is married. I mean, I still like looking at it because his life is so weird, but yeah, your exes are way more fun to stalk. They just serve so much more.
Yeah,
and
they are the gift that keeps giving.
I was stalking him while I was stalking him while I was in bed on Saturday, and I was like, holy shit, he almost trapped me.
Rayna's like, I gotta tell you, I DM'd him too.
He does have a nice dick.
It stopped me in my scroll.
It stopped me in my scroll.
So we will message sometimes flirtily, and flirtily, is that a word? Something that came up on my feed that I didn't DM him right after I saw the photo, but later that day, or it was the next day, I sent him a funny, like, the joke that was like kind of joking about how we used to hook up, and we'll go back and forth for a minute.
That's your main line of joking with each other.
We used to fuck. Yeah. But it'll go back and forth for a couple things, and it's like it's like a dopamine hit. It's fine. Neither of us are probably ever gonna hook up again. I'd be down. But
I'd be
just
down
what
after
it is.
the photo.
So I just was like, this is a very funny thing that I've never had happen, and happens to guys all the time. Guys see that photo and they're like, and you think men are so simple-minded that works for them, but it worked for me.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think you and I serve masculine. I'll get there. Masculine. We serve masculine energy.
That's a drug.
That's a new restaurant concept. I think you and I serve some masculine energy sometimes. But I just don't think there's a lot of guys out there like posting. This was like a really sexy shot. Like listen, guys, don't post stuff like that a lot.
I think that when Jared mentioned that, I always keep that in mind when guys come back in. It's not that they thought about you, heard a song that reminded them of you. It's that they saw your fucking bikini picture.
This guy like basically told you he like wanted to be with you. It was like it
was something else.
Intentional. He was like, I want to make this work. You're like amazing.
A lot of details on how much he liked
and
me.
how you're going to make it work.
Yes.
And then like that was the last we heard.
Last we heard of him. Well, then I touched base the following Tuesday, and that's when he hit us back with the whole like, I'm just really busy right now. My fish is sick, and my sister's nephew is, I
gotta tell you, so we are coming up on our 200th episode, and people ask all the time, like, how did this podcast change your life? And I will say, like, probably like top 3 biggest ways this changed my relationship life is like, it's not even like I have no tolerance to that behavior. I'm such a bad bitch. It's just like, I find it just so unattractive. Like anybody that acts like that, I just never think about them again. I'm just like, if you're not going to show up when you say you are, if you're not going to be intentional, if you're not going to just like do the right thing, I'm just not into you. I don't think about it. I don't like marinate over it. I don't sit at home and like wait for you to text me. I like could not find that less attractive and less interesting. It doesn't come into my airspace. I just don't care about it. And that's probably like one of the biggest, most important ways this podcast changed my life.
I love that you said that. I will say, I think I had a little bit more of that coming in. I think I just was like...
You were already a little bit like that.
I was like that.
Yeah,
I've been saying, if you don't like me, I don't like you since day one. I've watched you change in that way.
Thank
I feel
you.
like there was a guy that you liked that was like playing games and doing all that bullshit, and you still were kind of like into him and going for it. And I was like shaking you like, Rayna, come on. This is, fuck this. This is like, this guy's just stringing you along and jerking you around. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you still... And it just took you a minute to like fully get to that point. It's like it's the best feeling in the world to be like actually turned off by that behavior. You're not self-talking yourself out of it. You're literally like, ew, no. This happened recently with a guy that I was kind of, whatever, it's not important, but like, I was like, ew, like it just felt game playing and like a lot kind of dishonest. I was like, oh, I'm massively turned off.
Yeah, that's true. It was recently. And I think that like you and I've had to have more conversations earlier on in our friendship of being like, don't be upset by this. It's not a reflection on you. You were just like, this is not going to sit with me all day. I don't care. Like, I don't like this behavior. It's gross and weird. And I'm just never going to think about it again. Yeah. Like, there's no reason to respond to people like this. It doesn't sit with me. I don't think like, well, what if I can just change them a little bit? No, I just don't care. And you're right. In the very beginning, I met this guy who I was like, I thought he could like be like the one. I was like so obsessed with him. I let him like roll all over me and just like shit all over me. And like, it really sat with me for a long time. Now I would give that guy 5 minutes of my life and that's it. So yeah, that's, I think one of the biggest things this show's given me.
And I think that's inspirational in that if you're still a person that is like, God, I wish I could be more like you guys. I wish I could be so turned off by this behavior, but I keep falling into it and I keep falling for this, guys. It's okay. You can change, especially if you're young. We all liked that weird chase bullshit when we were younger. I mean, a lot of it's attachment style too, but like you can grow out of it and you can get to a point. Rayna's like a perfect example of like putting up with stuff 3 years ago that you would never put up with today.
I also think that like, as you grow up, like you just realize the difference between like, like a secure love and an anxious love. And I think when I was younger, I hadn't been in like a really solid relationship. So you don't even know what it looks like. So you're like, this is probably what it feels like, you know?
Yeah.
I have a friend that like recently went through a breakup. She was like, am I ever going to like find something better? And I was like, better than this shit that you were dealing with? Yes.
You weren't even happy.
Yeah. You weren't even happy. So
it was just a body.
Yeah, a lot of people are just like
it was just a person.
Attention. Yeah. So, anyways, I've taken us like really made like a hard right here, but
yeah, I mean it's a friendship episode today, guys. I had one quick rec, and then we'll do our thing. This is very quick. Music rec.
Oh,
so a lot of people ask me. Well, not a lot of people. I posted something recently on my reels and on my TikTok, and people were like, "Where's this mix from?" And so I find that a lot of people don't know what this is, and I was only new to it like in the spring. And it's two guys, they're DJs, I guess. There's like a DJ duo called Two Friends, and they do these things called Big Booty mixes. So they've had 20 now at this point. Big Booty 20 just dropped. You're on the fence about it. I love it. It's like if you're an elder millennial, you remember Girl Talk or White Panda from back in the day. It's all these songs mashed up. They change really quickly. They're all blended together in a good way. I'm obsessed with them. I heard them at Stephanie's at the wedding. Like the girls were getting ready with that. Like the bridesmaids were getting ready. It was playing in the house. My brother likes them too, but it's just quick moving mashup music. I love their mixes. They play like movie clips and like sound bites here and there that I find really interesting. And they're like, I'm obsessed with listening to it on a long drive because it keeps me like alert and like going, and it's like constantly changing. I don't really want to listen to it on the dance floor because like I want to get in a groove, but it would be fun at like a party. So Big Booty mixes, they get taken down off Spotify from time to time. You just got to search it. They're on Instagram. They're on TikTok. Two Friends. They're verified. See where their links are. You can always find them on Spotify, but sometimes you'll see all the mixes and then they'll be gone. You got to search for it a different way. Make sure you're following them. It's always kind of like a little bit of a scavenger hunt if they're currently down from Spotify for whatever reason. But I've just been listening to them a lot, and sometimes I'm in the car with people and put it on. And our driver to Boston, he was like, Ashley, what was that mix? I was like, Big Booty mix, Gondo.
It's so funny you have a music rack because it's like such your corner of the world. Like I will never show up. We could do this show for 10 more years. I will never have a music rack because I like American Top 40, okay? Anything that's on Kiss FM.
No, I
do like reggaeton. Anything like Bad Bunny.
If I want Rayna to be, if I'm playing something and I can tell she's not feeling it, like Big Booty mix, I'll put on Bad Bunny radio.
Yeah, that's what I like. I listen to Pitbull radio at home. I listen to Daddy Yankee radio, Bad Bunny.
Rayna has watched a Daddy Yankee concert
by myself
her TV.
at home. I told Ashley that the other day. I did. I watched his concert. It was in Puerto Rico. I watched it during COVID by myself. It was great.
All right. Also, booty is spelled I-E. Big B-O-O-T-I-E mix. Find it. Two Friends.
I have no new racks. I'm just going to co-sign with you last week, which is Insecure. I watched both episodes last night and I loved it.
Season 11 of Curb is, I'm never more convinced that Larry David lives inside of me. And
you said this and it is so funny. And it's like the funniest, most self-aware thing. Cause like most people wouldn't be like, yeah, everything annoys me inside of my head. And you just like came out with it. It made me laugh so hard when you said it.
So Larry David, I've hung out with him. He's amazing. He's wonderful. He's kind. He's down to earth. He's like, he's this kind of like jerk on the show. I don't know how he's annoyed a lot.
He's content to be a jerk.
He speaks out about it.
Yeah.
I've realized that not everybody knows Curb Your Enthusiasm as a show, and season 11, 2 episodes so far are amazing. I think that if you've never seen the show, you could very easily start with season 10. You'll miss some things here and there. You'd be like, who is that? Then you find out it's his ex-wife. I mean, you'll pick up on it. You don't need to watch like every season. Of course, you can binge every season. I think that you guys should, but I think that you could start from scratch. Season 10 starts with the Spite Store. I watched it during quarantine. It is one of the best seasons. I feel like season 10 is the best season. Now season 11 is going to be even better. It is makes me laugh out loud. I don't laugh out loud a ton watching TV.
If you guys like don't know who that is, and we have a younger audience, Larry David created the Seinfeld.
David's an icon.
And the show was on for years, like almost a decade, and then was off the air for what, like almost another decade.
Curb,
right? Curb.
Yes.
Curb was.
Yes. I mean, there's so many seasons. Yes.
It wasn't on like season 10. I want to say, I forget if 9 or 10 was the newest season, but
that's what I'm saying.
Came out.
You could start like I didn't watch it for years or something,
and
then
TV.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you can find it on HBO, by the way. And then I started watching season 10 during the quarantine, and I was like, the Spite Store is my exact vibe.
Okay, but anyways, you were explaining, you were like, he's just like everything annoys him. He's in his head like all the time. You're like, I don't think other people are like this. And it made me laugh so hard.
I don't know that everyone is as irritated at everything like I am. And like how I get so loud and worked up, like I am Larry David.
Sometimes I can't like match how annoyed you are about stuff, but I will say my mom has said about me my whole life, not everybody has something to say about everything all the time, Rayna. Something negative to say about everyone and everything all the time. So maybe that's why we vibe. We just want to talk shit on everything.
But yeah, no, Larry and I have shared guac together. At Dos Caminos, he said it was the best guac he's ever had. I'm like, at Dos Caminos?
I've never been more jealous of a night in my whole life. There's very few things I'm jealous of, and it's the night you spent with Larry David.
Okay, let's get into this discussion. Friendships.
I'm really always excited to talk about friendships. Obviously, this is a relationship podcast. And friendships are an important relationship. And we asked you guys what is a toxic relationship to you and what are red flags. And I mean, you and I we always say this, we have so many long-term friendships, but I also have friendships that have like fizzled for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. You know, just because I have what I would say are really healthy friendships in my life doesn't mean that I don't have like a lifetime of growing apart from people or toxic friendships in my life. And I certainly think I've gotten better at dealing with it. I wasn't always, you know.
Yeah, this is like where I thrive. And I think that like my mom, I don't know anybody that has more friends as a 70-year-old, 69-year-old woman than my mom. Like she's got all friends. She's got friends that she grew up with. She's got her sorority sister. She's got her friends. She made new best friends when she was like 50. Like she's just so good at making friends. I feel like it's like where I get it from. Like, yeah, I've lost friends throughout the years. I've drifted apart from people. I've cut people off. But for the most part, like this is what I'm good at is friendships, keeping friendships, making friends. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's my most successful types of relationships.
Do you feel like you were always really good at it, like in high school?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I feel like I realized at a young age, like in grade school, that I wasn't the prettiest girl that all the boys were going to want to date. But I did realize friendships were something that I really wanted and that were important. I wanted to do the sleepovers and have girlfriends around all the time. And people thought I was funny. So I played into that and just made friends pretty easily. And I've always been outgoing. So I had that going for me. But also just in general, I recognize people that I don't like and I don't hang out with them. You don't have to like everybody. You know what I mean? Like there's billions of people in the world. You don't have to like everybody. You don't have to be friends with everybody. You certainly don't have to spend time with people that you don't like or make you feel bad. And so I think I'm quick to know if I want to spend time with somebody. Like I think I have a good gauge on like that's a girl I'd be friends with. That's a guy I'd be friends with. That's somebody I don't want in my, like, that's somebody's energy I don't want around me.
I have gotten, if you're somebody that's like, I'm not good at any of this, like there's hope for you. Because when I was growing up, I would say I'm not somebody that prioritized female friendships as much. I was much more guy crazy. I was really boy crazy. Having this huge group of girlfriends was never like the number one priority in my life the way it is today. And recognizing like love bombing from friends or people that are toxic or people that like everybody else has a problem with, but they seem to vibe with you. I was not great at like identifying that right away and walking away from it. And I mean, I've said this in the podcast, I've always struggled with like drawing boundaries with friends, but like if those are things you guys have always struggled with, like it can get better. Like
another example of Rayna's growth.
Guys, I've just gotten better. But I have certainly gotten better at boundaries as I've gotten older and communicating them and being able to say also like, just because it didn't used to be a boundary doesn't mean it isn't now. I've gotten much better at identifying like this person seems to have a toxic relationship with everybody around them, kind of steer clear. And just distancing myself in general. Like I think those conversations become better as you become older. I used to be like terrified to tell somebody like, I don't like the way you're talking to me or the way you're acting. And I've just gotten better at it. So you guys ask all the time, like, how do I make friends? I feel like I'm move to a new city. I can't find friends. Like it can change and get better just because you weren't always good at it.
Yeah. And we've done a couple episodes in this, like really early on. We did an episode called All the Single Ladies, like in 2018, like that summer, which had some more making friends tips. And then This Friendship is Over about friend breakups.
In August of 2019.
And then there's an episode called Girl Code. And then we've had guests on to talk about friendships and stuff too. But, I think that it's always such a good message that people change. I think this episode, if you hear something and you're like, wait a minute, you're saying that's a red flag, but I do that. It's like, okay, well, if it doesn't apply to you, you shouldn't be offended by it. And also, if you are offended by it, maybe you want to rethink your life and change. Like, I just think that everybody's a work in progress. I think some people are who they are forever. But I think sometimes, like, some of this stuff you can outgrow. Some of this stuff you could separate with somebody and you could come back together and they could have changed. You could have changed. A lot of the stuff is not definitive, but it is red flags and some things that are signs of like toxic type of people. Not to say that those people could never change, but yeah, I'm also not out here looking at friends with potential. Like at this age, you are who you are. I'm not looking at somebody that's got a bunch of toxic traits and was like, I can change them. I'm not about that life.
Well, especially
with a friend
with
or
friends, you can
romantic.
have a million friends.
Yeah.
And I do look at friendships similarly to how I look at romantic partners in the sense that like I am able to look at a person and say to myself, is this a one-off situation? Are you a good person at the core? Mm-hmm. And this is just a couple things I don't necessarily like in relation to me. Or are you just somebody like I don't fuck with? Like, and there's different levels of that. Like maybe you're just untrustworthy a little bit, or you're flaky, and maybe you can't be a close friend of mine. Maybe you're a bad person.
Yes.
And I feel like that with romantic partners too. Like I feel like with a romantic partner, you can say to yourself, is this something worth going to therapy for with your partner? Or is it something I can never change? You can say that with a friend too. Is it something I can never change? Fine. Then you don't fuck with that person. There's a world of friends you can have. It's an infinite world full of friends.
Yeah.
And we talked about like friendship breakups and how they're like so painful, and you can marinate over those things for years. It is just as horrible sometimes as a romantic breakup, because those people just know you inside and out, and it feels so terrible. But I just don't think that any of us should have people in our lives. We walk away from interactions with them, we feel bad about ourselves.
Yeah. And at the same token, we always say this, we say it a million times, not a hot take on the show, that friendships can run their course. And you don't need to feel guilty if you decide that this friendship is over and you've been friends forever. Like just because you have a past doesn't mean you have a future. Like friendships can end and you don't miss them ever. That's fine. The friendship was over. It was probably over before it actually was officially over. And I mean, at this stage in my life, I kind of know if I'm going to vibe with somebody or not. But I guess I've kind of separated myself from some people in the last 4 or 5 years because of their values, honestly. And like, I'll give an example. Now, this isn't saying that everybody's political views need to line up with mine, but I'm not going to be friends with somebody who's a fucking anti-vaxxer because they get their information from Facebook. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole nother world, like a personality type. And I don't want to be with somebody that holds really antiquated patriarchal views of society or is racist or anything like that. But I mean, I've had this girl, she's a more casual friend. I kind of separated away from her during like the 2016 election. I just, felt like I just didn't want to be around at times were so tense. And then we did kind of start to see each other a little bit more. And the thing that put me over the edge was a couple years back when all the families were getting separated at the border. It was so heartbreaking, so horrific. We talked about at length on this podcast. I saw her retweet something that said like, well, if you don't want your family to get ripped apart, don't try to come into our country. And I was stunned. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with this person. I was on the fence about them anyway. Like, you don't have any empathy. Like, we're not on the same team when it comes to values, human life, because I'm happy to have healthy debates and people disagree. And I'm happy to learn from people that have different life experience and ways of thinking. But that's kind of where I draw the line, and where in this age, those are the things that have kind of separated me from people. And I don't think that's bad.
I don't think it's bad at all. And I don't think you owe people the explanation either, unless they're really pushing you for it. Like, there's just people that you can just be like,
yeah, I'll be happy to tell them if they really ask.
Yeah. I mean, if they really push you, like, I don't think that's that terrible of a thing to say. I don't feel like our morals and our values align.
Yeah.
I can give you more information if you'd like, but I'd kind of prefer not to have to.
Yeah. And you can separate yourself from people, and you can also try to educate them and give up if it doesn't work. Like, people think, am I overreacting? And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't want to be friends with somebody that's like a conspiracy theorist and gets their news from like randos on Facebook that sell essential oils. I don't want that in my life.
I don't know.
And you're not a freak for being like, can I cut this person out of it? No, you can.
100%.
Bad energy.
I think overreacting is very subjective. It's like when somebody tells you you're sensitive. Am I, or are you just being a jerk? Like, am I overreacting? I don't know. Does it make you uncomfortable? uncomfortable? Do you not like what this person stands for? Do you feel like this person judges you all the time? No, I don't think you're overreacting. I think you don't like how you feel about how this person is, and you're welcome to not be their friend.
Yeah.
They're not a parent. They're not irreplaceable.
Yeah.
You know, you can make new friends.
Right. Exactly.
And then there's just other friendships that like we've talked about that you just sort of grow apart from the person, and like there's no reason that you can't come back together. But I think that you start to feel this probably in your late 20s, early 30s, that your friends start to have kids. And I have like a really good friend who was incredibly close to me from the age of like 15 till 30. And I just felt like she had kids and that was all she cared about. And the whole relationship felt really one-sided. I was always the first person to reach out. I was always the one to text. I was always the one to make the plans. I had to go to her. It felt more personal than just having kids and being a little busy, because you and I started the podcast, and I would send her episodes and say, I would really love if you listened to this. And she just wouldn't, and she wasn't like engaging with anything that I was saying. And I felt like, okay, maybe this relationship ran its course. Maybe she just wants mommy friends. Maybe she just wants somebody who lives near her in the suburbs, who's going to gymnastics with her kids. And that's fine too. And it was like hurtful. And if she ever asked me what happened, I'd be happy to tell her. But I felt like this was very one-sided. I have plenty of friends that have children that I'm extremely close with them. I'm extremely close with their children.
Yeah.
You and I both do. And so it didn't feel like she just had kids and so she didn't have time for me. It just felt tremendously one-sided, and she wasn't interested. And I don't miss the friendship. Like you said, I don't, if she ever called me, I would be happy to talk to her. But I think it's also fine to be like, maybe we drifted apart for whatever reason. You can ask, but I don't miss it, and I don't really care. I feel like I gave you ample opportunities to be on my side and to even try to like make plans with you. You didn't want to do it. So I just had to let it go.
Yeah. Okay, we have so much stuff to get into. What do or we just want to like go back and forth on some things we feel passionate about?
Oh my gosh, yes. I feel so passionate about this.
We both feel so passionate about this. Oh my God. When people neg you or insult you or say mean-spirited things, and they say like, oh, I'm just joking, or like, I'm just being honest, or that's just who I am. Like fully like say really shitty stuff. And then they try to be like, oh my God, you can't take a joke, or I'm just honest, I just speak my mind. You're an asshole.
People that feel the need to tell you all the time, like, I just tell it like it is.
That's what it is. That's
9 times out of 10, you're just an asshole. People that I've never had to say, I just tell it like it is. I've never had to say that. You've never had to say that. Like, I don't brag about that kind of character trait. Like, you can be the kind of person that's a little more honest. I think that you are probably like the top of the most honest, that you will call somebody out for their behavior. But you're not out here being like, I just tell it like it is. If you can't take it, ha ha ha. Like,
or just
that
like,
behavior's so
like
gross
negs,
to me.
Like insults. Like, we know this girl. I have a few mutual friends with her. We had a mutual friend that cut her off because she was a bitch. And then I had one friend that's still kind of holding on to the friendship. And she's such a dick to her. She's like, she'll send me screenshots of this girl. And I'm like, I've told y'all she's a bitch. Why are you still hanging out with her? Like, and I think our one friend who's friends with her is kind of like, but she's in the group and yada, yada. And it finally got so out of control. It's just so judgmental, kind of slut shame sometimes, but it's so hypocritical. Like, it's just, she's the worst, I think. And finally, my friend who was still friends with her was like, hey, if I'm going to continue being around you, you know, I don't judge you for the way you live your life. And I feel like you're constantly throwing shade to me, insulting me, making judgments. Like, you got to stop, or this friendship is over, because I don't do that to you, and I don't want to be treated this way. And she really finally like spoke up and said something, and gave her a chance to try to redeem herself, which I think is respectable.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, and I use this with family members and significant others too. Like, I think it's always healthy if you're going to use like the phrase, like, you always do this, or this is something you never do. I always just come with examples and say, here's 3 or 4 things that you've done.
Right.
I don't like it. You know, and I promise you, people like this specifically, that you're like, does anybody else feel like this? Yes, everybody feels like this about this person. They've heard it from other people before. They've heard it from people in their lives. If you think that this person is the kind of person that's always nagging, always just nasty, has something shitty to say, other people have told them too. And I'm sure that you're not in the minority. And also, I think that we're all afraid to like draw these boundaries, because we're like, you know, what if they say something terrible to me? Okay, what if a person you think is an asshole says something terrible to you? Then you get to stop being their friend.
Yeah.
Like, you're allowed to draw boundaries and not like the way that you feel when you're around somebody. Somebody that's just like, they just constantly like steal your joy. Like anybody that, I mean, I think that it's all boils down. I'm hesitant to ever credit something to jealousy, but like somebody that can't be happy for you, can't be your hype man. Like you just feel like they're never really proud of you. They're just jealous or they're bitter. And like, there's no reason to have that kind of energy in your life.
Yeah. And everybody has bad days, you know, hurt people. Sometimes people can snap. I mean, you and I have fought before because one of us has said some asshole thing, but it's not a pattern and it's kind of rare. And so I think everybody gets a chance, you know, to know if this is like an isolated incident or you were just having a bad day or, you know, I'm not proud of everything that's ever left my mouth or everything I've ever done in my life. So I think people are always welcome to get a heads up of like how they're being perceived. But when it's like a pattern and you're like, I think this person is just a dick. Like, I think they're like not kind. Like that's what it boils down to me. I think it's easy to tell if someone's really truly kind, not nice. They're different words, like a kind person. You know what I mean? If you have that going for you, like we can work through some of the other shit, but you know.
That's a good point, actually. I have like two people in my life. I would say one I feel like is sort of negative and the other one I feel like sort of negs me. But I do feel like both of them at their core are kind, good people. And so I am willing to give them a pass every once in a while if I don't like something they say. I always try to have them mirror my behavior. If I feel like sometimes maybe it's like the joking and the teasing has gone out of control, I try to mirror it by like stopping doing that or being overly proud of them. I do try. But I just think we all deserve to walk away from interactions with friends feeling good about themselves and feeling like we are supported, the person is a hype man for you, that they're proud of you. I mean, some of our best friends in the world who we talk to every single day still listen to the podcast every Monday. A lot of them, like Kate, Melanie, Emily, Dara, like a lot of our like very close friends that have a direct line to me every day of the week still listen to the podcast. And like, that means the world to me that somebody would want to be my hype man when like they've already heard me say all this shit. They have had a decade plus of friendship with me. Like, and I still feel like they want to come to our live shows. They want to listen to what we have to say. And like, that means the world to me. There are friendships that like that exist. And I want to feel like even if somebody is struggling, they're still proud of me. And that they're like a hype man for me. I want to feel like that. We all deserve to walk away from friendship situations feeling like the person is on your side and on your team. And if you constantly feel bad when you're with somebody and you walk away from situations, you're like, they're so negative. You don't need to be with that person.
Yeah, like a dark cloud. I mean, that's what it boils down to. That came up over and over in the answers that you guys provided as well. Was like, how do you feel when you leave an interaction with this person? Same with dating. How do you feel? You feel anxious? You feel upset? You feel insulted? I mean, I'd love to talk a little bit more about this like jealousy thing, because I think that, yeah, some people are jealous and competitive, and I don't really want it in my life. And you can feel it, and you know what that feels like. There's also healthy jealousy and healthy competitiveness. I'm a little naturally competitive, I'll admit it. But I think there's also another side of a person who throws their accomplishments or whatever in your face, and you're like, I'm not jealous, but this person's kind of an asshole. Like, I think it's about reading the room a little bit. You're in the same world as somebody, you both do stand-up comedy, for example, and one person's getting far ahead and all they fucking do is brag about it and talk about the money they're making and the like, achievements that they're getting. Like, there's a point where you can share what's going on in your life without kind of like in a braggadocious way. Like, what if your friend is struggling with their weight and all you can talk about is like how thin you feel and how good you look and how much you're working out? Like, why would you do that too? You know, I think it goes both ways with friends. I think that like true friends read the room on that shit. I think there can be an air of like, oh, this person makes me feel bad about myself because I feel like they're trying to make me feel bad about myself. Like, I think it goes both ways. So neither of them are good.
That is something I think I'm more willing to try to correct and just bring back to center than like the people that are like neg me all the time. If somebody's just being like really braggadocious and I'm having like a hard time, and I've always said in this podcast, like when my fiance and I split up and everybody around me was getting engaged, I tried to be like as happy for them as I humanly could be, even though I was like suffering so hard inside. I think a lot of us have friends that we work with specifically. So like that happens a lot where you're like somebody's doing better than you. And if somebody's being really like just so braggy about stuff, I am perfectly fine to be humble and be like, hey, I'm like kind of going through some stuff and maybe I don't want to hear this all the time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with checking people and their behavior. And it's something I've struggled with my whole life. I do not think it's easy, but I do think that in every situation, romantic, with families, with friends, having the conversation always feels better than not having it.
Yeah.
Because for me, and I mean, you know this about me, my family does, like it's something I've struggled my whole life with. I won't say anything and I won't say anything and it becomes this big problem. And then I'm just like mad about shit that isn't even a big deal. And I could have just said something. And like every situation I've ever just fucking said something, I feel better. And the worst thing that's going to happen is that somebody tells you you're an asshole. And it's like, they're an asshole for telling you that you're an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, I think about this with infertility a lot because so many women struggle with infertility. And if you're really struggling, how painful is it when everybody around you is getting pregnant without trying? And I think like there's this line of like, well, if someone can't be happy for you, but it's also like, there's this line of like, maybe you don't have to fucking show up and be like, guess what? I'm pregnant. Are you so excited for me? Like, I don't know. I had a family member, she was struggling with infertility and she was like, one of my friends just keeps kind of throwing it in my face that she's on her third kid and everything's so easy. And it's like, maybe you just tell it to somebody else. Maybe this is why you have a bunch of friends in your life, because you do have the friend that you can get so excited about this thing with. And you do have the friend that you can just straight up talk about how much money you make with. And you do have the friend that you can talk about like how you're feeling so skinny that day. And like, you don't have to share all your accomplishments with everybody. Like, I just think it's compassion.
You and I were at the pool the other day in Phoenix, and there was a couple girls talking about that, about how it's really tough for one of them to be around somebody else who's constantly having kids. So I thought about that. And yeah, I mean, I always try to sort of read the room. I'm not going to sit here and complain. I'm really tired. I'm exhausted. I feel like you and I work 7 days a week. We're going to Cancun. I wish we didn't have to go get on a plane right now, but I'm not going to complain about that to somebody who sits at a desk 5 days a week. Read the room.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of layers to it. And you shouldn't have to hide something you're excited about. You know what I mean? True friends will be excited for you and they'll be happy for you, but they can also recognize that maybe it hurts them a little bit too. And true friends can have those conversations and can have them in like an adult manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would be conscious of, is this person a joy thief? I just feel like so many of us, and I suffered from this a lot more when I was younger, just like, you're with people and you feel bad when you're around them. And I just like kept doing it because I was like, well, they're fun to drink with, or they're my only single friends. They're fun to go out with. Make other friends.
Yeah, you can make other friends. A couple other things. I mean, I think people always will tell you who they are. People who have had consistent falling outs with everyone in their life, or they say like, I don't know, I just don't get along with girls. Like girls are too much drama. Or they don't really have close friendships of any kind. I get that some women just vibe with dudes more. We have guy friends that have mostly girlfriends. Like it goes both ways. But Rayna and I have had a situation with a friend that we are no longer friends with, where it was like this happens with everybody in that person's life. Just consistent drama with everybody. And you're like, yeah, you're not going to be, we weren't going to be any different. We were going to have a falling out with this person. And we did. So I think like people tell you who they are, you should listen.
I remember pretty early on, I've said this in the podcast probably, but I remember early on I was speaking to this specific person and they were having a falling out with somebody else. And that person said to them, you always do this. And I was like, okay, take note of this.
Yes. I remember we were sitting in Chicago. We were having Portillo's hot dogs and we were talking about this and like, it's probably going to happen with us.
Yep. And you can still be friends with those people. I do feel like people can grow up and people can change. And like I said, I don't know that like I've always had girlfriends, but I don't know that I prioritized female friendship on the level that I do today. People can grow up. Some people are just assholes in their teens, their early 20s. You can give people a chance if they're being good to you. I just think that like you should read the room, you should read their history. And if they are constantly telling you, like I had a girlfriend who really she'd been with her now husband for like 15 years and she'd never really learned how to make female friendships. And so she said to me like, I don't really ever want to be the first one to reach out. I don't want to be the one to make plans. And I started to realize a pattern of that. And I was like, oh, she realizes this. And she told me this is how she is. And I don't see this as being something that's going to change. She's like 32 or 33.
Yeah.
And that friendship is over and that's fine. Like, I just think that's something she did with everybody. And it's like less painful also when you can be like, oh, this is a pattern for everybody else.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like that the people like people that don't really have any other friends, like you kind of wonder why. And that kind of plays into you called it friend bombing, like the person who you met a month ago and they're like, do you want to be at my wedding? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what? Like the latching on too quickly because they don't have other friends.
Yeah. Or like my mom used to tell me, I suffered from this when I was younger. She'd call it friendship bombing, but like people that are just like, they're too familiar too quickly and they're too obsessed with you too quickly. I feel like I was obsessed with you too quickly.
You kept your cool though. I couldn't feel it. I mean, I could tell you thought I was amazing. But.
I did. I loved hanging out with you. But I feel like I've had a couple situations in my life where I feel like people have gotten close to me too quickly because I'm just like,
you're open.
I'm ready to be your friend and I'm open and I share everything right away.
Yeah.
And I have like suffered from that in the past. And now I'm not going to ever be like, before I like you, I don't like you.
Yeah.
But I am a little more cautious and I'd like to see what your other friendships are like before I let you in a little bit more and before I introduce you to everybody in my life. Because I am very much the friend that like, if I'm friends with you, I also want you to be friends with all my friends and I want to have parties and I want you to become like best friends and text each other and DM. And that's really nice for me to introduce people and connect them. And so I'm just a little more cautious than I used to be.
Yeah. I just, people that are too thirsty to be my friend, I just can't. I'm sorry. I
don't like it.
I don't like it. I'm like, it's too much. Like, it's usually mutual. Like, I feel like my best friendships, like, I feel like when I met Meryl, we were like, we're going to be friends. Like, oh my God, if you know, it feels right. Like, I'm not a person, I wouldn't say that you have to work for it, but people would probably say that that's how they feel. Like Louisa would be like, I had to work so hard to be your friend, you know, like people, but then I feel like with Kate, like I had to work to be her best friend, like, you know, and like Taylor Frost, like, well, I'm like, God, I just want to be your friend so bad for years. And now we're like close friends, but it's people that feel a little too clingy. It doesn't feel good to me and it feels like a red flag to me, and anything that feels too clingy too soon. And then that can kind of morph into the like, why didn't you respond to my text? Territorial vibe. They want you to be their best friend and not hang out with other people. Like all that is just ick.
It's just icky to me. It's weird. And it doesn't feel like a normal way to, like a normal attachment style.
Yeah.
What do you think about people that everything is always on their terms? You have to text first. You have to make the plans first. You have to go where it's convenient for them. You friends like that?
I mean, I kind of wanted to speak on this on like the friends that are like, they're kind of flaky or they bail or they're quote unquote unreliable. I mean, I think some people, you just kind of have to meet them where they're at and you have to decide if you're willing to do that. Like, I don't think I have any friends or I would have a friend that I have to do all of the work, like all of it, like 100% of the heavy lifting. That is I'm going to feel like a stalker. I'm going to feel clingy and weird. So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go down that road, but I have a few friends. They're not my best friends. They're not going to be in the inner circle, but they're friends. And I think they're good people, but they are a little more flaky, but I feel like I can trust them. They'd be there if I need them. And they're just a little more flighty. They're kind of those people that are really fun. They bring value to a social situation. They have cool shit going on. You want to be in their energy. They have good energy. They're kind, but they are a little flaky. And you don't have to be friends with those people. If you want a friend that just never bails and is always reliable and you can always depend on, that's fine. That can be your boundary. But I'm willing to make room for some of those people that can be a little flightier, can bail every once in a while. Not all the time. I'm not doing that. If we have a one-on-one dinner date and you bail a lot, no, I'm not doing it. Everybody gets tired. I get it. But like someone you actually consistently can never rely on, that's not for me. But I think you can make room for those people. I think you can meet them where they're at. I think sometimes you gotta go to them and they still like you and they want to be around you. You're not chasing them down, but just like, that's their vibe. You know, we have a friend that bails all the time because she has pretty bad social anxiety. And like, we just have learned to understand it and we're still her friend. She's a good person.
Yeah. I mean, I like all the stuff you said a lot because I feel like all these red flags are, a lot of the times you're like, it's like, fuck no, and fuck this person. But that's not like that for everybody. You can have different tiers of friends. You can have different friends for different things. And you and I've talked about this. I have party friends. I have friends that I want to like go out and like meet guys with. I have friends that are like, just like a stay at home and drink wine night. The friend that you're talking about that has social anxiety is one of my like favorite people to have an emotional, deep conversation with. Yep. But no, I'm probably not going to rely on her for like one-on-one plans because she's going to bail on me all the time. You have friends that are welcome to be included in plans. And I know they probably won't show up, which is also fine. Like I have friends that I won't make dinner reservations with. And I won't make one-on-one plans with, but they're always invited to a party. And I think that that's fine. I've learned my whole life that not everybody, just like a relationship, a romantic relationship, it doesn't have to be everything in your life. Not every friend has to hit every box.
100%. I say all the top tier friends. There's so many tiers. There's like 4 tiers. Like Rob says, we have a friend and he was like, just don't put her in your critical path. Like just don't have her be picking you up at the airport. You know what I mean? But
it's so funny.
Like I like that he uses that term, but there's gray. It's not all black and white. It's not all like, fuck you bailed on me. It's like, I don't know, we're all human, but those are boundaries you have to decide on. Like you are very welcome to be like, you have bailed on the last 3 one-on-one dinner. Like we had a reservation. I'm not doing that. If I can't rely on you to show up when it's just me and you, a big group setting,
come or don't.
I mean, I would like you, most of my friends come, but like every once in a while someone's like, I'm tired. It's Friday. I've been working all week. You're like, that's fine. There's 5 other people here. I'm bummed. Hope you don't make it a habit. And it's fine.
Yeah, non-negotiables for me, somebody that lies all the time or even like little lies. Nope, I'm just out on it. Like, I don't like it. Somebody that makes me feel bad about myself. Somebody I feel like it's just like a joy thief, like we were saying before. Little things like, you know, they're kind of flaky sometimes. I don't mind. They're not going to be my best friend. I don't like somebody that bails on me. I wouldn't tolerate it from a romantic partner, and I definitely don't tolerate it from friends. I don't like it. It's not how I'm going to live my life. Like, I feel like you and I have a finite amount of time. If I dedicate a night to somebody, and I'm fucking pissed if they don't show up. I don't like it. I feel like at this age also, like, why we're out here like being unreliable, you know? And I mean, I think I've been single a lot throughout my life. And even when I'm in a relationship, I like to include a lot of people. And I probably like the most of anybody, and you too, like all my friends are friends with each other. And I really want that. I really want everybody to connect. I love having a party where everybody comes. I like when my friends are texting each other. And like you and I went on a trip in February with like, well, Emily's like more my friend, but, and Lindsay and Melanie. And it was like nice that like all 5 of us are like from different friend groups, and we are all together in Miami. And that was so special to me. And like, I think there's girls that like really don't like that. They're jealous. They withhold friendships from you. Like they don't want to include you in the friend group. That's really not for me. Like anybody that is like oddly jealous, won't connect you, things like that. Not for me.
If there's a friend that none of your other friends like, that's a red flag. Like that came up a couple times. Like the person nobody likes, you don't want to introduce them to your other friends or your family or whatever it is. Okay, let's talk about a big one. And this is with any type of relationship. People that just cannot see their wrong in things, cannot apologize, always the victim.
Yeah, I think you're never going to win with people like this either. Like there's no amount of like explaining your feelings, explaining their behavior to them, holding up a mirror. Like you can try. I would also, of course, try to see is this a pattern with other people. But I generally try. And like, I think that you and I, more than anybody, have always told each other about our behavior because we're business partners and we have to. But I haven't had a friendship in a really long time where I've like told somebody about their behavior and they haven't at least tried to see their part in it. And I don't know that I see like a path forward. Like we've talked about these conversations that you have where you're like, hey, this hurt my feelings. And somebody's like, well, I didn't mean to. And you're like, but you did. They're like, well, don't be so sensitive. Like, I don't know. I feel like you're just sort of at an impasse with people like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you're ever going to win. You should try.
Yeah. We have talked about this on different episodes and stuff like that, but kind of the type of person that's the common denominator of all the relationships that have gone poorly in their life, refuses to take responsibility, can't see they're wrong, do anything, can't apologize. I mean, it's, you can't have it.
And people like that are eventually going to be alone on an island by themselves.
Yes. Yep. And I mean, that's usually how it does work out.
Yeah. And even if they do have like some friends that like put up with it, like you don't have to. And I feel for people. I think this is very easily said when you're like a little bit older, you've had many more years to make friends. I think it's really tough when you're super young and you just have like one friend group and this person is just always included in the friend group. And you're like, if I blow this friendship up, like then what happens? And it's like, I don't know. First of all, I usually think that if somebody's like this, other people feel like this about them too. But like, I think we just all deserve to feel good.
Yeah.
And like, you should try.
I like that you said about like you have this one friend group, like it just kind of sparks something of like, this is why you should diversify with friends. You know, this is why you shouldn't just have one friend group forever. And then you just do feel more beholden to some of these people that may not be good for you and that may actually be toxic. It's like, it gives you a lot more freedom to like only surround yourself with people that lift you up and have good energy when you make more friends. And I know sometimes it can be scary. I know it can be like, okay, but this is my group of friends. We're all sorority sisters. Now we all move to the same city together. Like, this is it. This is all I got. It's like, I don't know, join a club and meet another friend and then meet, go do a share house for the summer, make new friends. Like this is the reason to do that because shit goes down with one friend in the group, it's fucked.
Well, it's like we say, like with dating, like when you first start dating, like date around, like don't put all your eggs in one basket because then you're more likely to tolerate shitty behavior. You're going to wait around all night for somebody to call you. Yeah. When I first moved to New York, it was tough. I didn't have as many friends. And so I was more likely to deal with shitty behavior because I was like, I don't have that many options. So yeah, diversify.
All right. Let's talk about girlfriends and guys.
Weird behavior with.
Yes. Like, okay. Someone that you feel like is fucking flirting with your boyfriend, like that's a no. But I mean, somebody that's just kind of weirdly competitive about guys. Like I've seen these friendships. It doesn't necessarily mean they're like doomed.
You've had one situation with somebody, I'll let you speak. I'm going to let you talk. I'll let you speak on it where I think it turned out positively, where you like mentioned the behavior and it got better. But personally for me, like girls like that, I've just never fucked with them. Like girls that are
competitive,
so competitive and boy crazy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's why we're out. That's why we're at a bar. They only want to go to places where men are. They're like always just like dressing up to attract, I mean, men or women, whatever you're attracting, they're going out to like be on the prowl. And I feel like I am just sort of there as a wingman. And, you know, they try to like hit on the person you're with.
Call dibs.
Yeah. Like, it's not for me. I would never even try to like honestly really talk to somebody about this much. I don't really fuck with girls like that.
Yeah. I had a friend, good friend. We're friends, like where it was just kind of weird. We feel like we kind of both like this guy but you know, her and I are the same age. We were both single the time this happened. This guy was cute. We met at the same time. Like no one really got dibs. It was just kind of a weird thing. And he kind of just liked her more. And I didn't really see that coming. This is no shade to her. I thought we vibed. Like it was weird for a minute. And you know me, I just called her on the phone. I was like, what's going on with this? I think it's shitty. And you didn't tell me you were going on a date with him. Like we had to kind of have it out for a little bit. And because neither of us had a history with this person, it was kind of like he liked her more. And I had to check my ego and realize that and be like, I would want to go out with him if he liked me more. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to have to not go out with him if he asked me out. So you got to treat people how you want to be treated. I think that can just be really tough. Like, you meet a dude at the same time, you both like him, and he's not a bad guy. He's not trying to pit you against each other or start some sort of love triangle, but sometimes it sucks and your ego is bruised and your feelings get hurt. And it can even get to a point where you feel kind of awkward around them. But sometimes if they're a good match, like why begrudge your friend somebody that could be a good match for them? He did not turn out to be a good match.
No, he did not. But I will say, first of all, I think you know her and you think she's a good person. So like that boded well for her. Yeah. And I think second of all, like she was sort of on your shit list for a little bit and that's fine too. Like we can dislike somebody's behavior and then come back to them. I've certainly had friends where I'm just like annoyed with them. I need a little fucking break from you. You're on my shit list. But like, I'll be fine with you in like a month. You know, we can take a little break and it doesn't mean that we're never going to talk to each other again. I can be annoyed with you. That's fine. It's not the kiss of death.
Yeah, you're right. Like you for a minute, we were like, she doesn't get invited to the drinks tonight. You know what I mean? And that's fine. That's not, call it petty if you want, but it's like, I'm just kind of mad at her right now. And that was years ago and we're back to besties. Like that shit happens. Friendships ebb and flow. And I mean, as far as friends who you feel like they always choose guys over you, I think, again, there's a lot of gray area. This is not black and white. How much do they do it? Is it every time? Are you just losing them a little bit because they're really involved with this person they're falling in love with? Are they just not returning your calls at all? Are they trying to make time for you? Are they bailing on you all the time? Talk about it with them. You know, is this who they are at their core? Because I had a friend too like that. I feel like she was kind of blowing me off a couple times for dudes, mentioned it to her, and she was like, you're right, and I'm going to check this. She was like, damn, thank you for bringing it up. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I don't think we should burn a relationship down to the ground. It doesn't make somebody a bad person. It actually just makes them like a little insecure, you know, and it could just be a situation where like they're going through something and I'm perfectly willing to talk about it.
Yeah. And some people just really want a boyfriend. They really want a partner or a girlfriend or whatever it may be. And that is their sole priority. And sometimes if they're a good, solid, stable person, a little bit of a check does make them come back to earth a little bit and be like, okay, the real relationships in my life are these friendships and they're going to be here when this person I date is gone. So I need to prioritize them and they can do the mental shift on their own. And sometimes they can and they suck and dump them.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about this thing that came up a lot, which is like, I think that no one is a stranger to this. It's just like friendships that feel so one-sided. It's like you only hear from the person when they need something. Everything is about what they're going through. They're going to one up anything that you're going through. You might be having a bad day, but theirs is worse. You might have had a bad breakup. Theirs is worse. It's just, you're only hearing from them when it's about them, whether it's their accomplishments or their pitfalls. And it's just like, it's only about them all the time. I don't know. What do you think about these people?
Cannot relate. I don't know. I just feel like friendships, they start because they feel reciprocal. You know, I guess there's a world in which this could shift over time, but like, I can't actually pinpoint a time where this happened because I wouldn't want it at all. You know what I mean?
Yep. I'm trying to think if it's happened to me because this happens a lot. I think that I had a situation with a friend where I was just like constantly hearing from her every single day when she was struggling in her relationship and she wanted to talk to me all the time. Only about that. She was only talking to me when she was upset about him or when something was really going on that was great with him. And I felt like she like wasn't really checking in with me about other stuff. It was just like, we talked a lot and we talked about him. And I felt like once things were like pretty good with them, I wasn't hearing from her as much. And it felt like really one-sided. And I think once I took a step back around the room, I was like, oh, I don't like this. Fuck you for this. Yeah. This is like, I'm having my own shit going on.
Yeah. This came up with Nedra.
And I thought that was really great. And she said like, maybe this person only thinks that this is what you guys talk about. Like, are you volunteering other stuff? Like, you should try to change the conversation first. And if that doesn't work, you can try other avenues. But I really liked that piece of advice because I had a friend that I felt like everything was so negative with her and it was just like always complaining. And when I stopped sort of leaning into it, I did feel like it changed.
Yeah. Well, and I just don't like, again, I said there's some friendships where you meet people where they're at, but they've got to come to you every once in a while. Like I feel like I don't want a friendship where we only get together because quality time is my love language, you know, like when they can, like where I'm getting rejected if I ever try to even like set something up. You know what I mean? Like that feels weird. That feels like somebody wants you at their beck and call. Like, even if you're like, hey, like, can we get drinks? Can we do dinner at this place? And they're like, I'll let you know. Like they only want to see you when they want to see you. That's not a friendship to me.
That's not a friendship to me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's, I said it before. Like, we should all walk away from every friendship situation. Friends are not like once in a lifetime. Like, we can make more friends. Like, you should feel like it's reciprocal and like they are as much of a hype man for you as you are for them. And you walk away feeling like amped and positive and excited. I met up with a friend last night just because I wanted to talk about her breakup. And she was like, I'm struggling. I'm upset. And I was like, yeah, let me come there and like, let's have dinner and let's literally just talk about you because she's done that for me in the reverse.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. And I walk away, I feel really supported in that friendship and I wanted to do that for her. And I don't know, I feel like at this point I'm really proud because most of my friendships, all my friendships I feel are like really reciprocal.
100%. And like there are nights when why is it gotta be a night? There are times when like
why is it gotta be a night?
Like, when you're close to somebody like me and you, I mean, me and you are the elite friendship, but I mean like where I'm going to come over and we're just going to talk about what's going on with me. You're not going to get a word in. And then there's going to be another time where we're going to do the same with you and we're going to dive into this thing and analyze it for 4 hours in the car and never talk about me. Like not every interaction is reciprocal. Like the long-term really solid friendships have those moments too, where you're like, you know, you had me over when I just was all fucked up about Dewey and I just came over there and we had wine and ate cheese and I just fucking cried. You just sat there.
Yeah.
Like those are the moments, like it's all about me right now. I'm struggling. And then we're going to do this again for you. Like those are the beauty of a friendship. Cause you should feel like I can go to this friend's house and just talk about me and they're not going to need to talk about them because this is my time where I'm struggling or I need help. And then I'm going to be there for them when it happens in the reverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've had plenty of those. And my friend Dara came over. We spent 4 hours sitting on my couch talking about just her breakup. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a sign of a good friendship that you can do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like you should feel empowered to do that.
I will say, so I was like, I feel like everybody just relates to all these things. I was on a group chat this morning with 2 of my girlfriends and I was like, we're doing this episode about toxic relationships. And a friend of mine, she had this friendship for years and I think it was tremendously toxic and she like can't let it go that she like let it go on for so long. And I think it's taken her a long time to process this. And she's just like, how did I not see how like nasty she was to me? I was a worse person when I was around her. I drank more when I was around her. I don't like the version of me that was around her. Everything that they talked about was like just talking shit on other people. And she like can't let it go. And like, I've had to say to her so many times, listen, she's just a ball of anxiety. But I do think that there is some like shame and guilt when we walk away from these friendships. Sometimes when we're like, how did I let this go on for so long? Same with romantic relationships. And it's like, I do think that at least if you got something good out of it, it's fine. There's a reason why people were in your life, whether it was that you had the same interests, same hobbies, that your significant others were friends. Like if you were in these, like, don't beat yourself up for it. Like it's never too late to just like draw a boundary, become a stronger person and form better relationships. Like it's okay.
100%.
And I know there's a lot of shame sometimes when you look back and you're like, how did I let this go on for so long? It's like, I don't know, you did. And there was probably a lot of good also. And what's important is that you're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay, well, you said they just talk shit and like gossiped. I mean, how do we feel with this? I know how you feel.
Listen, I love talking shit.
I love talking shit too. Okay, Rayna and I also have this. Rayna and I have so many joint friendship stories. We know somebody that just really likes to gossip and talk shit, and it's so fun. And and we've just realized that we don't tell her anything that we don't want to get repeated. Like, I mean, that's not going to be my best friend. Your best friend should be evolved. You know, the inner circle, the top tier, they should be evolved, you know, like whatever. We all share secrets, but like you should feel comfortable telling your deep, dark, most vulnerable things to your top tier friends. You can have friends that are really fun to gossip and talk shit with. You just don't say that shit to them. Because if they're
100%.
talking about other people with you, they're going to talk about you with other people. Like, and not always, you know, again, there's a lot of gray with this stuff, but like we just kind of had to remind each other when going into social interactions with her. And there's not just one person. Like there's a few people like this. We have an industry of people who are in entertainment, you know, you get this sometimes. And it's kind of like you and I have had to be like, check ourselves and be like, remember, don't share any secrets.
I mean, I think when you meet a girl that tells you other people's secrets right away, I'm just like, red flags are just up. I'm just like, okay, you cannot be
We're blowing through them because we want those secrets.
I know I want to hear them, but I would never tell you anything about myself. Like, beware a bitch that tells you other people's secrets.
But here is the thing.
They're so fun.
I think some people like that are kind at their core. That's the question you ask yourself. Some people can't help themselves. They're gossiping. I'm not justifying it. I don't like the thought that, you know, you're sharing people's secrets that they entrusted you with. But I think it's a matter of like, is this person malicious? Or they just can't hold back. Like some people just cannot help themselves. I was out with this girl last night. She's a very funny comedian. She was like, I can't not overshare. I tell everybody's business. I can't help myself. I tell my own business. Like she's an oversharer. And so I think it's always about like, does this person feel mean spirited? You know, like there's a feeling of like, I can't stop gossiping. Like, and like they're mean. And I think you can feel that difference. I think I can.
I think I can. I mean, listen, I'm just not telling those people anything. Like I could enjoy them. There's plenty of people I could enjoy. I would never tell them anything.
Yeah.
And like, I do think it is inherently mean-spirited to share other people's secrets.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I just don't want to justify the behavior, but again, like we're also not saying cut everybody out of your life that likes to gossip because we do love to gossip.
So much fun. My ex was like, you talk shit on everybody. And I was like, yeah, because it's an awesome thing to do. It's a ton of fun. Okay. And I'm talking shit to you. Also,
talk shit about me in private all you want. Just stay out of my public space.
That's how I sort of feel about talking shit. When I think listen, I'm sure that you talk about me behind my back. I can't imagine what it would be. But I'm sure in a private space to other people that you are close with, you have in your lifetime said a bad thing about me. And that's fine because like I think privately we're all humans and we're all going to say things. But it's like, yeah, if you told like Kate or one of your close friends something about me that you didn't like, that's like a normal thing to me. If you were like out spouting off your mouth about me and our relationship to strangers, then I'd be like, this is a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Like you do need to talk about your friendships with other friends sometimes. Like I think that anytime I've ever talked about you in a negative light, you probably knew that was happening because we were having some issues. You know what I mean? Like I'm not out here like you don't leave the room and I'm like, oh, she's so fucking annoying. You know what I mean? Like that's mean.
I know.
That's not a friend I want. Like somebody leaves the room and then this person just starts talking shit and the other person thinks they're cool. Mm-hmm. I'm not down with that. It's a very two-faced. I'm not about like a two-faced backstabber. Mm-hmm. That's a red flag to me. The drinking stuff too, like this came up. I think you can have party friends. I think you can have friends you strictly get drunk with, but there's levels to that too. A friend that every single time you go out, something bad happens. Every single time you go out, you have to babysit her. You think, I think there's a time and place to tell people you think they have a problem and they can take it or leave it. I think that's a read the room situation too. And those situations are not all created equal, but there's friends that you've never not been drunk with them, but that's up to you to decide if that's the type of friend you want in your life. It's sometimes fun to have a friend that you can call when you want to party and they know that's their role too. It's not really for me. I don't really have friends in my life anymore that we just drink together. Like if I'm going to be friends with somebody, we need to be able to chill in sweats and hang and have a glass of wine on the couch. I want that type of relationship.
That's probably my bar at this point. I don't know that I have any friends like this. I did when I was younger.
It's fine
college.
to have. Yeah.
My preferred social interaction is like one-on-one or like 4 girls like at home and I order food or I make food. Like that's my preferred social life. I could pick like one thing to do socially. Like that's what I like. I like talking to people. I like catching up on their life. I like digging into everything they're thinking and they're feeling and their relationships and how's your job going. Like I prefer that. If I can't do that with you, we're probably just not going to be like super close.
Well, I think you can put people in a box and keep them there too. I feel like when I first moved to Atlanta and I needed to make friends, I met some girls who were just party girls, you know, and maybe I wanted them to be more. Like I wanted more. I wanted to be like, okay, but I want like a girl group, you know, I want like friends to go to dinner with and stuff. And like you have to shift your mindset and your expectations of somebody. Like there was a couple girls I remember in Atlanta where I was like, okay, I know what this is. And they are just party friends. I'm seeing them after dark. We're going to be drunk. And
it's like a booty call.
They probably knew that too, like a booty call. Like, you know, because you might be like, yeah, but I really like them and they're really fun. And I want to go to like happy hour, just the two of us. It's like, they don't want that, you know, and that's okay too. Yeah. Or you know, I just think not everybody needs to be everything to you. And there's all kinds of tiers and all just different types of friends in our life. And that's like the beauty of being able to have a million fucking friends.
Yep. And people, we've talked about this, ebb and flow. You can become closer with other people at some points in your life. Some people can be casual, occasional friends and become some of your closest friends. Just, you know, I would give people enough rope to hang themselves always and see what they're like, read the room. And then, you know, you can always walk away and that's fine too.
Yeah. I agree. I love that. And I'm glad we're best friends.
I'm glad we're best friends. And 4 years of best friendship and almost 200 episodes, almost 4 years of the podcast. We got a lot of fun anniversaries coming up.
We do. We have a 200 episode, a 100 live show.
Yep.
Coming up sometime soon. And we met in our 30s.
Yep.
And that is just, I get a lot of messages from girls that I want to meet. Like I'm in my 30s or my late 20s. And I am so hopeful that I could meet a friend like this, like later in life. My mom met one of her best friends, Jen. I think my mom was in her 50s and Jen was in her 30s. I mean, they're 20 years apart. They're besties, best friends. Her kids come over for Christmas Eve. They do the appetizer contest. You've met them. Like my mom was in her 50s, married, kids. Jen was in her 30s, like totally different life stages. And so I've talked about that before, but I just think that's such a beautiful thing. We're never done making friends.
Yeah, guys, never too late to change your life. You can change your career, your relationship, your friendships, your
have a squad in the nursing home.
Yeah.
There's all these new friends.
Ashley and I are just going to buy a compound with all of our friends.
Margaritaville.
And just live with them. That's what I want.
All right, guys. Well, give your friend a hug for us. Give your best to give you that true, real one, best friend. Send them a text. Share this episode with them. Yeah. Tell them you love them. Be thankful for the real ones in your life and cut out those toxic friends.
Yeah.
Or put them in a box, whatever.
And throw them in the ocean.
Murder them. Get rid of them permanently.
Slice their throat.
Steal their boyfriend. Now
Fuck
you're the
their
toxic
dad.
friend. Plot twist.
Go out to dinner with them, make them pay, and then don't Venmo them for half.
Steal their credit card. Steal their identity.
Like Bella stole our credit card.
Oh my God. That's our little joke with Bella, that she stole our credit cards. Anyway.
It's like, it's a joke when she like did it.
It's a joke.
It's a joke,
No,
get it? Bella stole our credit card. She's like, it's a joke,
Bella's
get
a
it?
thief. We just tell it like it is.
Just so you guys know, we hired Bella and both of our credit cards went missing.
Bella's a sneaky bitch. I'm just kidding. I just love to joke around and insult people to their core. Okay, guys, you can find everything you need to know on girlsgottaeatpodcast.com. New show dates in all these cities, and we'll just keep announcing them as they happen. New merchandise or old merchandise, new merchandise coming soon.
New merchandise next week, existing merchandise now. Also sign up for the newsletter on our website. There's a pop-up right when you log in, and we'll let you guys know ahead of time of that stuff.
Yes, newsletter is crucial. Those newsletter babes get the info first. Follow us on Instagram at Girls Gotta Eat Podcast. I am Ash Hess on Instagram and TikTok. Rayna is Rayna.Greenberg. Girls_I Gotta Eat on Twitter and YouTube.com/Girls Gotta Eat. And we will see you next week.
Have a good week, guys.
Bye.